You're listening to Maryland Morning with Sheila Cast. I'm Nathan Sterner. Usually on this show, we bring you conversations about something in the news. But for a moment, we're going to talk about something that is not news, or even new. Instead, something really old. One of the oldest living things in the entire world. To start us off, I asked some of my coworkers to name the oldest living thing that they could think of.
A cockroach.
A cockroach?
I'm having cognitive problems. Cockroaches have been around the longest.
As a species, maybe, but cockroaches only live about a year apiece. Let's try again.
Oh, a parrot.
That's better. A parrot can make it about 100 years old, if it's lucky. How about something else?
I would say the tortoise.
The oldest tortoise lived for 188 years. Can you think of something older?
Redwood trees in California.
Redwoods can get really old. They live up to 2,500 years. But there's something that gets older than that.
Your mom.
My mom? No. Apparently, my coworkers weren't the most qualified to answer this question, so I went out and found a real expert.
I'm Kathy McCarthy. I'm the Southern Maryland ecologist with the Maryland Natural Heritage Program in the Department of Natural Resources, Wildlife, and Heritage Service.
I asked her to name something really old.
The Box Huckleberry, Gaylussatia brachycera.
The Box Huckleberry is a tiny shrub. It only gets about 8 inches tall. It grows along the East Coast, and it's been growing for a long time.
Some scientists think it may be the oldest shrub in America.
Catherine McCarthy knows all about the Box Huckleberry because one of them is growing here in Maryland. It's in Anne Arundel County, and it's been here for at least 100 years.
Our first record that we found is a written reference in 1901.
And it could be even older, according to a Dr. James Reveal, a UMD botanist who studied the plants of colonial Maryland.
He went to England and looked at specimens in the British Museum and found a specimen from the mid-1600s that he believed could well have been from this location.
Now, Dr. Reveal could have been wrong.
It's impossible to determine exactly because the herbarium label data wasn't specific enough.
But if he was right, this shrub was growing in Anne Arundel County more than 100 years before the founding of the United States. And even so, it's a baby compared to the oldest one, a plant in Pennsylvania that's estimated to be 13,000 years old.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it is. 13,000 years old is older than Rome. It's older than human civilization, really. 5 times older than a redwood tree, 69 times older than a tortoise, and 13,000 times older than
A cockroach.
a cockroach. At 13,000 years old, the Box Huckleberry is arguably the oldest living thing on the entire continent. To find out more about it, I went to another expert.
Your mom.
Who just happens to be my mother. Her name's Marjorie Sterner, by the way, and she's been observing one of these plants every day since, well, how long, Mom?
Well, let's see, you're 30, so 2 years before you were born, 1976. Yeah, I think we moved in about then.
My parents' house in Pennsylvania sits right beside the Hoverter and Shaw Box Huckleberry Natural Area. It's a certified natural landmark, and people go there every year to get a glimpse of the plant. My mother often ends up welcoming them as a de facto tour guide.
It's always amusing to have somebody walking through it looking all confused, and I say, can I help you? Are you looking for the huckleberry, Box Huckleberry? And they'll always say, yeah, do you know where it is? And I have to tell them to look down at their feet. It's everywhere. It appears to me, the way they ask the question, that they're looking for the great burning bush or something.
The Box Huckleberry isn't that impressive to look at.
The plant itself, ground cover, real pretty ground cover that just gently flows right through the woods. In the springtime, they get beautiful little pink flowers, pink-white flowers.
In the summertime, those flowers turn into little blue berries, Box Huckleberries.
They're not as large as blueberries, and they're a little bit tartar. But if you like a tart, small berry, it's a nice taste.
And in the winter, the plant is really easy to see. It's an evergreen like mountain laurel or holly. So as we trudged along a snow-covered trail back in February, there was nothing but life as far as we could look.
Makes the winter woods just so pretty. It's not nearly as dreary when you can look down and the whole woods are covered with green.
That green covers a lot of area. In fact, the Box Huckleberry beside my parents' house covers 10 acres. From those 10 acres, you can tell that it's somewhere between 1,200 and 1,300 years old. It is impossible to know exactly how old a box huckleberry is. They don't have anything like tree rings you can count. So scientists estimate their ages by how much ground they cover. The plant expands at a rate of about 6 inches a year, and if you have the time, you can watch it grow.
The box huckleberry grows 6 inches a year. You've been here for 32 years. That's 15-some feet. Have you been able to see it extend its reach 15 feet?
Easily. When we first moved here, it was not on our property, but now it's slowly creeping through our property.
So you're watching it grow?
Yes.
The moving carpet?
Yes.
After seeing the box huckleberry in Pennsylvania, I wanted to see the one we have here in Maryland. But the plant in Anne Arundel County is not as easy to find as the one back home. Its exact location is actually kept secret, so when I went looking for it, I needed a pair of guides to tell me where to go.
Just go uphill.
That's Catherine McCarthy of the DNR. We heard from her earlier. Also with us was Bill Sipple.
I'm Bill Sipple.
He used to work for the EPA, and he's been monitoring Maryland's plant since
Back in the mid-'70s or so.
So he knows where it is. The secret location is not just off the beaten path. There's no path to it at all. You have to climb up a steep hill and push your way through a bunch of brambles.
And we're here on this steep slope above the creek.
It used to be relatively easy to find. Otherwise, it might not have been discovered in the first place.
There were hundreds of plants here. We know from the notes back in 1901 that it was more extensive.
But today, it's a lot smaller and a lot harder to locate, even if you have a pair of guides with you who know exactly where it is. After we reached the spot, we spent several minutes searching through the brush. And then, there it is.
You see it?
That's it. Right here is it. That's it.
Oh yeah, that is it.
Oh my Lord, that's all that we have.
That's all that's left? What's left is, well, it's almost nothing. Maryland's box huckleberry has been reduced to just 2 tiny sprigs, sticking out of the dirt, maybe a foot apart.
Right now, we have just these 2 diminutive plants, one tiny shrub that's about 4 inches tall and has a single green leaf, and another very small shrub, again 3 to 4 inches tall, with roughly 10 green leaves.
The plant with just 1 leaf looks particularly bad.
It looks like the one plant has clearly been chewed on, probably by deer.
In Maryland, the box huckleberry is officially listed as an endangered species. That's for good reason. Not only is there just 1 plant, but that solitary plant may be nearing the end. Only about 100 of these ancient plants are still alive. Scientists think that there used to be a lot more, maybe tens of thousands of them spread all over the East Coast. But they're almost gone now. And while some box huckleberries, like the one near my parents' house, are doing well, others, like the one here in Maryland, are wasting away. To understand why, you have to understand how plants reproduce. And you know what that means. The main reason that plants have flowers is so that they can reproduce sexually. They do this by pollination. Turn the lights down low, put on a little Marvin Gaye, and let that pollen start to fly. It's sexual reproduction in the vegetable kingdom. Plants reproduce sexually by making seeds. Each seed grows into a plant that's genetically different from its parent, and that is very important in terms of evolution.
The ability of a plant to keep genetic diversity going through sexual reproduction, that is seeds, gives a plant more plasticity, I guess you could call, an ability to adapt to different environments.
Giving us that evolutionary tutorial is Margaret Pooler.
I'm Margaret Pooler, and I am the shrub breeder here at the National Arboretum.
One of the shrubs she watches over is the box huckleberry, a plant that generally does not reproduce sexually. For a box huckleberry to make seeds, it needs 2 genetically different plants, a mommy and daddy, if you will. But most box huckleberries, like the one in Maryland, are isolated. They're not close enough to each other to make seeds. Instead, they reproduce by getting bigger, by cloning themselves. They extend their roots and grow new sprigs, so no matter how much ground one particular plant covers, genetically, it's exactly the same. But as a clone, it's never going to evolve.
If it's the same clone, it's kind of stuck with what it's got.
So if the environment around it changes, it's got no way to adapt. And that's what happened in Anne Arundel County. Construction and erosion changed the environment of where the plant was living.
The plant just didn't like it there. And so it was pretty much doomed because it had no way to adjust, to evolve.
But even without evolution, Maryland's plant isn't really doomed. Back in 1998, the Maryland Department of Natural Resources wanted to try to help this endangered species, so it called the National Arboretum.
The DNR came to us and asked if we could propagate it to help save the plant.
There was a little more of it growing back then, but not much, so they took a tiny cutting.
The cutting was probably an inch high.
And they were able to get that cutting to start cloning itself. And it kept on cloning. It's now grown to cover about 4 by 6 feet of ground, and it both looks and sounds good.
Could you reach in there and touch that real close? That is the sound of the very healthy Anne Arundel County plants.
Yes, it is.
In Washington, D.C.
Because it's a clone, the healthy plant in the Arboretum is genetically identical to the declining plant in Anne Arundel County.
It's the same plant, yep.
Should the Anne Arundel plant that's out there now, God forbid, die, would we consider repopulating it with what we have here?
I think definitely. I think that was originally one of the ideas, was to repopulate that site.
But that might not be the best idea. Since conditions at that site are no longer ideal, the plant might just die again if they tried to repopulate. So they're trying for something else as well. Something a little bit more romantic. At least, more romantic if you're a plant. They're trying to get the Box Huckleberry to start breeding again, so its children might be able to adapt to new surroundings. To do this, they collected plants from all over the East Coast.
For example, this one was collected in Kentucky. This is one that we got from the Arnold Arboretum. That is a Kentucky one. Yeah, that's a Virginia one.
And they set them growing side by side, close enough to cross-pollinate.
What you see here is actually the world's largest and most diverse box huckleberry collection on the earth, really.
With all that genetic diversity, the offspring of these plants could expand the box huckleberry's gene pool to a degree that's never really happened before.
Having all these colonies here intercross would be certainly the biggest recombination event in the history of this plant.
The recombination hasn't happened so far. They've been able to get the plants to produce some seeds, but they haven't managed to get those seeds to grow. At least, not yet.
We do have more seed this year that is, in fact, right now stratifying. That is, it's in cold storage to get it so it'll germinate, and we're hopeful to see what those are going to give us.
And if those seeds do give us new plants, it could be the first time Maryland's box huckleberry has had children in many, many years. So while this ancient plant may have been growing since before the rise of human civilization, it may take humanity to really get it going again. For Maryland Morning with Sheila Cast, I'm Nathan Sterner.
You can find out more about the box huckleberry at our website, WYPR.org, where we've got pictures of the 3 plants that Nathan tracked down. Later on Maryland Morning, a sculptor hears God, a Maryland poet puts it in verse. This is 88.1. I'm Sheila Cast. Stay tuned.